What's up, cool people? My name's Matt, aka That Random Christian Gamer. Coming at you with another game review. This time it's going to be on Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Specifically the remade version for consoles, because the original version of this game was made for the Game Boy Advance. And that isn't available on any consoles, like, period. So, right off the bat, as you can see from the different save files that I have here, you are able to play as both Sora and Riku in this game. So, that is something that was a welcome addition from the first game, or compared with the first game. Now, you do have to play through it as Sora entirely first, before you get to play as Riku. Don't have to 100% it, just gotta complete the main story as Sora. And looks like combined it took about a total of 37 hours for me. I didn't specifically, like, rush my way through, but I also didn't go back and level grind, like, at all. So that seems like a pretty reasonable clear time in my opinion. Just for the main story, mind you. Okay. I'm going to start off as Sora. I think I'll eventually show you a bit of both characters, but I'm going to start off playing as Sora. Just to give you an idea of more how things work, and how it's going to work when you initially start off. So, everything in this game revolves around cards. There are world cards that determine which world you go to at a given time. And yes, there is flexibility with which worlds you go to when. There are map cards that within each world, if you use a map card, it determines what kind of room you get. So, actually, let me go to where I can make a new room here to show you a little bit of how that works. But there are also cards that determine the combat. There's attack cards, magic cards. Some of the magic cards are summon cards. There's item cards that'll, like, restock your cards mid-combat. Okay. I'm gonna go with this, you know what, yeah, sure. Just so I don't have to worry too much about it, I think I will go with the Feeble Darkness card there. But the different map cards will place different effects on the rooms. It'll also influence the size of the room and how many enemies appear and all that kind of stuff. As far as combat goes, it's pretty much dependent upon, you know, it utilizes cards as well. So at least with Sora, you have the ability to build decks that you then use in the combat. There's different combinations of cards that'll let you do different, you know, special attacks and things like that. Those are called slights. But it's probably going to be easier to show you how it works from here on out. I am actually thinking I might want to change my active deck to this one, because it's a little less fire heavy. But anyway, so yeah, you got these different map cards that will determine how each room behaves Like, some of them will slow down the Heartless enemies as you move around the area. Some of them will give you bonuses. Some of them make it so only certain Heartless appear. All sorts of different things like that. Yeah. And then you got all the different world cards that you can actually do stuff out of order. So, like, if I was way back here, I could have done, like, Agrabah first instead of Wonderland. Supposedly, I haven't exactly tested this out, but from what I hear, you can do them out of order from how they were in the first game, and still not have to worry about it being too difficult too early or anything like that. They kind of, like, adjust the difficulty of the enemies based on how early you pick a certain world. The last few, there isn't really much choice. But anyway, so as you're moving around a room, you got different things you can smash or otherwise interact with. Some of them will give you cards, that's pretty rare. Usually they'll drop either health orbs or Moogle points, which can be used in, like, the shop for you to get more cards.
This is it.
So, when you're in combat, you have the ability to use cards either one by one, or you can stack them sort of like you've seen me doing. And stacking them is how you make use of the different sleights and things like that.
Back off. This is it.
Some of them you only need to use attack cards for. Some of them it's a combination of attack and magic cards.
This is it.
So they really made a whole bunch of different ways for you to potentially customize your deck and take advantage of different things. At least when you're playing as Sora. How did that get broken? Oh well. Oh yeah, so that's a feature of the combat. Based on the numbers on the cards, basically a higher value card can break a lower value card, or there's also the chance that if a 0 card is used, that will just straight up, like, cancel out anything that's going on. Which there are moments that feature can be a little bit annoying, but it's also possible to kind of use that to your advantage. Why did it target that enemy? So yeah, this is pretty much how combat moves along. Most of the time, you're going to be using sleights, if at all possible. And definitely in later parts of the game, you'll be combining different cards into sleights, so that there's less of a chance of them getting broken. Because if any of your cards get broken, that means you end up... You get staggered for a little bit, basically, and then you're vulnerable to attack. All sorts of stuff like that that you generally don't want happening. Oh, yeah. Almost forgot. There's also enemy cards that you could use along the way. Generally, you just pick up more of those as you go.
Thunder. Heal.
Each one will have a different kind of effect. Some of them heal, some of them increase the value of your cards.
Heal. There.
It's a whole mix of things, really.
This is it.
So, all things considered, like, yes, there are certain aspects of the combat that can be a little bit annoying at times, but if you know how to utilize the system, it also becomes pretty easy to manipulate it to your advantage. Why must there be so many magic-based enemies right now? Oh, yeah. Okay. So after each battle, you'll typically get a card like that. Like a map card. Unless you've maxed out your map cards. Now when you level up, at least with Sora, you got options between card points and hit points. Sometimes slights. Later on, probably not so much. With the slights, card points pretty much determine how much you can do with your deck. Literally, like, the value of your deck. Each card has a value, so that caps how many cards, or more specifically, how much card value that your deck can have. And then HP is HP. I mean, that's generally pretty obvious. Okay. I think that's the combat pretty well explained. Oh yeah. So as far as the map cards and things like that, you'll see in the bottom right of the screen which kind of room that you're in. But during combat, it's generally better. There's not much going on in the bottom right during combat, so that's why I had my webcam there. So yeah, I don't know if there's too much else to talk about. Each world will have a reward room specifically. That's the only place you use that key to rewards card that I just picked up. But I haven't gotten that for every world in the game. That's like a real basic kind of thing that will happen more often than not in a playthrough of this game. So like, that'll kind of end up making you go back a little bit if you want to get more stuff, and getting through the basic story, as I mentioned earlier, probably gonna take, I mean, it's reasonable to expect about 40 hours. Okay, Xbox is having issues with some things randomly. It's fairly reasonable to expect about 40 hours to get through the story. At least based on how I went through it. But from what I hear, going completionist on this can be quite a hassle. I'm going back now to load my Riku save file. So that you can see what's different about him. But, so yeah. Combat can be a little bit awkward and frustrating at times, but it's not too bad, in my opinion. Yeah, here's how I went through the worlds as Riku. Sora, it has you starting at the first floor and going upwards. Riku, it has you starting at the lowest basement floor and going upwards from there. Riku, I did it almost kind of sort of backwards. At least as much as the game allowed me. But, now, story-wise, it's pretty much the kind of quality you'd expect from a Kingdom Hearts game's story. Meaning, it's good. This game might be a little bit more confusing story-wise than the first game was. Because there's a little bit more going on than just your basic light versus darkness and things like that. Also, some of the dialogue is... It definitely contributes to the confusing nature of it all. I would not recommend this game for little kids, in part just because the story is going to be too difficult to understand. Shoot, even some of the words that the characters use are, like, definitely beyond grade school level.
Like it. Take this.
Like, I kid you not, you have one of the villains in this game at one point using the word denouement, which I had never heard of before playing this game. I was like, what in the world does that mean?
Darkness.
So, like, there's content-wise, there's nothing bad about this game. You're not gonna see, you know, anything extremely violent, nothing... There's no blood, there's no, like, you know... Nothing really suggestive. It's just, the main reason I wouldn't recommend it for, like, little kids is because of story and dialogue being difficult to understand for little kids. So, family friendliness scale, I'd maybe give it like a 7 out of 10.
Take this.
So, if you were paying much attention, you might have seen, yeah. I always kind of forget that the duel mechanic is a thing with Riku. So, like, if you use a card with a point value that matches the card that the enemy used, it brings up a duel, which is kind of the main way, at least as base Riku, that you end up doing any of the slights. However, if you break enough enemy cards, then he'll wind up going into dark mode, and then you can just kind of stack the cards as normal to do slights.
Like it. Take this. Just me.
You see, if you lose a duel, then you're kind of stuck for a little bit.
Like it.
But yeah, dark mode then kind of powers Riku up a little bit, lets him do his slights that otherwise would not be available. So that's one way that combat is different with Riku. Also, Riku's deck cannot be customized. You just have whatever deck the game gives you at a certain point, and you gotta use that to the best of your ability. Okay. So anyway, story's good, just maybe a little bit confusing. Maybe less confusing as an adult, who can, you know, kind of get the foreshadowing a little bit better and read between the lines in some situations a bit better. So, overall, I would say this game probably gets like a 7 out of 10, like... the combat is way different from the first game, or really any of the main numbered entries. But it's still not terrible. Story is good, but a little bit confusing, especially for younger audiences. And content-wise, there's nothing really too bad about it. So yeah, I mean, like, it's good, not great, in my opinion. The main draw of it, I would say, is getting to play as Riku as well as Sora. Otherwise, like, it's a Kingdom Hearts game. It's some original characters mixed in with Final Fantasy and Disney smashed together. So, most of the time, I mean, I think for pretty much any console post PS2, this game is only ever part of, like, collections and stuff, so you're not really going to find it as an individual game, therefore you don't need to worry about the price of the game itself on its own. Any collection you'd find it in is probably worth picking up if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan. The more games you can get in the collection, the better, I would say. But yeah, that's about all I got. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. Other games you'd like me to review, maybe play through. Whatever thoughts you have, let me know down there. Click the little thumbs up thing to like the video if you enjoyed it. Share it with others if you want them to see. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can see more game reviews as I release them, or other playthroughs of different games. If you like Kingdom Hearts stuff, I'm going to be doing a bunch of Kingdom Hearts for quite a while, trying to play through as much of the series as I can, either before Kingdom Hearts 4 drops, or just whatever the collections I got, which is basically the story so far bundle, will allow me. And I'm only currently going through Kingdom Hearts 2, so I've got a ways to go. So, yeah, subscribe if you don't want to miss any of that. It'll give you an easier way to find my stuff. And make sure you look down in the description as well for links to social media pages of mine. It'll give you more ways to keep up with what I'm doing and interact and all that kind of stuff. There's a link to my Discord server included in there. So, even more ways of interacting. I sometimes even, like, ask suggestions or help from people on there. So, yeah, all sorts of different ways to keep up with what I'm doing and interact with me and all that kind of stuff, even in between videos that I share. As always, hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you soon for another video. But whatever the case is, till next time, stay cool, people.